IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we share the journey of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners.
Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories podcast. Hope you're all well and keeping safe. On the podcast today, we have a returning guest, Arjun Narayanan from Simply Stories Chennai and the Madras podcast. We have a very special and a first of its kind itinerary for you, so hope you guys enjoy it. Let's hop onto the episode and find out more. So with that introduction, we'd love to welcome back, Arjun Narayanan, founder of Simply Stories Chennai, a traveler, a content marketer, and I think at the heart of it, a storyteller, right? Arjun, thank you so much for being back on the Musafir Stories and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot, Saif. Very glad to be back here the third time round with a new city this time.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, Arjun. And for listeners who are listening to Arjun for the first time, I would recommend you also check out two brilliant episodes he's done in the past. One on Varanasi and the other on Thrissur, covering the Thrissur Puram, which has been some of our all-time favorite episodes as well, both personally as well as a lot of feedback we've received from listeners as well. So really honored to have Arjun back and looking to cover a new city on the episode. But Arjun, before that, for first-time listeners, why don't you also give as a little bit of intro into your world? You do a bunch of things. Like I was telling you, multi-talented, not just Simply Stories Chennai. You also host the Madras podcast. Amongst writing and being a journalist, I think I probably missed that in the intro as well. So why don't you give a little bit of an intro before we hop into this?
You're very generous with words, Saif. So I'm a journalist and a content marketer by profession. I run my own storytelling initiative called Simply Stories Chennai, and that's about me. And I've been a film researcher for the last few years as well.
Yeah, Arjun is being very modest, and God knows every word I said was true. So I'll leave the listeners to decide who's being modest or not. But yeah, Arjun, first time around Varanasi, it was a very fulfilling spiritual sort of a journey you took us on, exploring that wonderful historical city of Banaras or Varanasi. And second time around, it was Thrissur, and you helped us cover the Thrissur Puram, the
Yes.
famous festival from Thrissur. So both of them were very different and diverse, and even in terms of depth, I really enjoyed both of them. So that also sets expectations the extra higher this time around.
Okay.
So where are you taking us to?
I'm just going to be I'm just going to be in the same place, Madras, because my name has Madras in it.
Yeah.
So I welcome you to the city of Chennai, and maybe I should welcome you in the month of December, which is known for the music festival.
Okay, wonderful. Arjun always brings a special flavor, a special niche to each of his episodes, and this time as well, like you've already mentioned, we are looking at the month of December, and for some of the people who are listening or hearing about this for the first time, you might be wondering what's special. Even before we get into the speciality of the season or the festival that we'll talk about, I think this is a good opportune moment for me to use the tried and tested and overused joke that Chennai has 3 seasons: hot, hotter, and hottest. Right?
Yes,
Arjun?
yes, that is
So
that is a joke I heard when I landed in the city, and it's not very far from reality. But which is what makes December a very special month, because it is a very pleasant month.
exactly, and also happens to be the month of focus in our case for a special event that we'll be covering. Right? So why don't you give us a little more background about why this month and what you're covering on the episode?
Yes, so the December Music Festival lasts between December 15 and January 13, that is till Pongal. And the festival centers around music, dance, and theatre, and it's organized in Chennai. There are many centers of this activity, which are called sabhas, and many upcoming artists and renowned artists, a lot of promising artists, they display their talent in these venues. This festival has a very, very rich history, and people come from all over the world, not just India, from all over the world. They come to Chennai during this month, which is also why the hospitality industry gets extremely busy during this time of the year in Chennai.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I have to tell you, open confession, like I said at the beginning, before recording the podcast as well, I'm not a connoisseur or a person who knows music very well, any sort of music, leave alone Carnatic music. But I was pleasantly surprised to know that this is happening at this big of a scale, and I was also mildly ashamed as well. I have a little bit of a connection to Chennai, like my maternal grandparents. They've been around the area, originally from Salem, and also lived in Chennai for a long time. So my
Nice.
mom and everybody else, yeah, they've lived there for a long time. I had zero idea about this happening, and it's been going on for a while also, right? This festival is not something that's popped up in the last 5-10 years. It's been going on for a little while, so I was a little bit ashamed. So I am really, really looking forward to learning more about this, and I'm sure other people also from outside who just visit there for business or pleasure and haven't had a chance to live for long, they might be missing out on this. Yeah, give us a little bit more in terms of background, like since when has this festival been around, and also what kind of music are we talking about when we talk about this as a music festival?
So the month that lasts between mid-December to mid-January is called Margazhi in Tamil. So the month of Margazhi has a lot of spiritual significance from when you look at the Indian calendar. So which is divided into Uttarayan and Dakshinayan. So according to Hindu philosophy, the Uttarayan is the day of the deities and Dakshinayan is the night. And Uttarayan starts from from January 14th, from when it's Pongal or Makar Sankranti. That's when Uttarayan starts. So the month of Margazhi, which is December to Jan, is considered to be pre-dawn hour, just before dawn. And pre-dawn is associated with a lot of spiritual endeavors across several faiths, if I'm right. There are prayers offered in several homes. Most of the traditional homes wake up before sunrise and perform their prayers. So when you look at the entire year, the entire month of December is seen as the pre-dawn hour of the gods. So that is the significance that the month has in the in a Hindu household. But apart from that, it's a very beautiful time of the year in Chennai. As I said, it's a pleasant time. The northeast monsoon has just got over. The city is freshly washed. The trees are bright. The roads are looking fresh. People wake up early in their homes. They draw columns in front of their household. Across temples, there will be singing of various bhajans. There are old Tamil compositions called Tirupavai, Tiruvampavai. These are all sung in various temples across Tamil Nadu at that point of time. Musically, this is a very significant month. There is something called Veedi Bhajanai. Veedi basically is street. So people walk in groups and conduct bhajans without any loudspeaker or mics. So it's just the natural voice that comes out. It's done by bhajan mandalis in various parts of the city. With cymbals, dholaks, mridang, and a harmonium tied to their neck. They go around the streets of Mylapore, Triplicane singing bhajans. It's a very pleasant sight to see early in the morning. Music and prayers and devotion, they are all interlinked. So from that's somewhere the musical part of Margazhi starts. Then why Chennai got so much of significance with music is in the early 20th century when the princely states started losing power. In places like Tanjore, Pudukkottai, a lot of artists started migrating to Chennai. So Chennai was the new city of importance set by the British. So most of the big families were in Chennai. The patronage was going to come from Chennai. So the artists also started moving to Chennai. And especially after the 1930s, when recording companies, film industry, everything was centered around the city, all great artists also started moving to Chennai. So Chennai automatically became the hub of Carnatic music, classical dance, and all things art. So that's how Chennai gained this prominence.
Very interesting. And in specific, the Chennai Music Festival or the December Music Festival or music season, like we say, since when has that been around?
So it is difficult to say that from this point the city this festival was flagged off. There are various stages. For instance, one of the earliest sabhas in the cities is the Parthasarathi Swami Sabha, which started in this neighborhood of Triplicane near the Parthasarathi temple. So this sabha is over 120 years old. It started in 1900. So initially they organized discourses. They would have lectures, then they had performances. But a major turning point, if I may say, came in the 1920s and 30s. That is when the music academy started gaining some prominence. So in the year
Right.
1927, the All India Congress session was held in Madras. So along with the Congress session, where all the great leaders of the party landed up in the city, a music conference was held around it. So in 1928, they decided to continue this music conference year after year, and the Music Academy was inaugurated in the YMCA auditorium in Chennai. And a
Okay.
year later, they made it the annual conference of music in 1929. So that's how a proper shape was given to having an annual festival in the month of December in Madras. Another thing is that between December 25th and January 1st, it was by and large a laid back time. There were holidays. The offices were also people could take leaves, and some people would take the entire week off. So this was seen as a good time to organize some kind of kacheris, concerts, classical performances, so that the armed janta can come and listen to it. That's how this the last week of December was seen as a very opportune time to organize these kind of performances, so that people can come in and not worry about getting back home on time and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And um, I mean, the weather that you mentioned, it's also very pleasant. That also adds to it, right? Otherwise,
Yes,
it might be hard to
yes, yes,
kind of
yes.
be a part of these,
There were no AC
especially if
halls back
they're
then.
outdoors and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly, right? So everything works out well. And in terms of the time this happens, is there like fixed dates, or do they usually change a little bit over time? But it's roughly around 6 weeks during this time of the year.
So, as I said, it started in the last week of December. But as the number of artists grew, as performances grew, as the number of rasikas, who people who are fond of listening to classical music, increased in numbers, they started having more number of days. So now, typically, December 15th to 31st is the music season, and January 1st onwards is the dance season, dance and drama. But now, in the last few years, because the numbers are so overwhelming and people want even more, the music performances start from November onwards. So mid-November
Right.
onwards, a lot of sabhas start organizing performances, and people slowly start coming into the city. It's also a time when the NRI population is able to take a lot of their leaves, because December is a holiday season in the West as well. So people from UK, from US, they come to Chennai around that time, and that's also why there is a lot of interest and a lot of performers are in NRIs. In fact, some of the especially the young performers, they come from the US. They get trained there. They have gurus in India. They might be learning it online. They come and perform here.
Yeah, even I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, initially I thought it was basically going to be local crowds, right? People from in and around Chennai and perhaps Tamil Nadu. Then I realized that it's actually not just people from across India, but also across the globe, right? Like you mentioned, from US and Middle East, and even closer countries like Singapore, Malaysia, etc., that have
Yes.
connections. A lot of people do travel back, and I think even in terms of the scale, there was like I don't know, it's in the hundreds or a few, almost like thousands that it's touching in terms of the number of shows that are put out during these weeks, right? The couple months or
I
so.
think some 2019, around 3,800 concerts happened in 90
Yeah, it's
locations.
crazy, right? And in terms of scale, also, it seems to be like one of the bigger music festivals in the world,
Yes,
not
yes,
just in the country.
yes.
And that's why it goes back to my point that I was a little ashamed when I found out that so much is happening, and this is like literally my backyard. I could say I've visited Chennai several
So very
times, and
often we ignore things in our own backyard.
yeah, I think that's also very true. So yeah, really good to find all of this, and thank you for sharing some good context around what this is, when this happens, and where this happens. Will you also like to add a little bit more in terms of specifics? I know you, in passing, you mentioned about the sabhas that organize these, and these are organized across different venues in
Yeah,
Chennai, right?
yeah.
This is not all happening in one place. Do you want to touch a little bit upon that? And for somebody who's traveling, right? Let's say you're traveling from within Chennai or even from outside of the city, who's there for the event.
Yeah.
How can they make the most of it? How does a day in the life of Rasika, like you said, right?
Yeah,
Rasika is a
yeah,
patron,
yeah.
I guess, of music who is here to visit. How does that look like, or how would you recommend for even for a newbie who's trying to explore this? What would be the best way in which you could like get most out of the event and the time in Chennai?
The key to getting the best out of it is to have the Sabah schedule with you. So in the first week of December, all popular newspapers in Chennai will publish their concert schedule. You can even go online now. There are many websites, many apps dedicated to the December music season. You can find some of them. You can just do a simple Google search and you'll find multiple results. You can go by whichever one you feel comfortable with. But primarily
Okay.
the older sabhas, there are some sabhas such as the Music Academy, the Parthasarthi Sabha in Triplicane, but the venue is in Mylapore, Nardagana Sabha, Brahmagana Sabha, there's Mylapore Fine Arts Society, the Bharat Kalachar, Tyaga Brahmagana Sabha, Karthik Fine Arts, Indian Fine Arts Society, Karnatica is there. And then there are some new ones like Charsur Arts, Madrasana. There are many like that. And if you really want to get the best of it, there are neighborhoods like Mylapore, T Nagar, Adayar. These are the places where a lot of performances happen, especially Mylapore and T Nagar. In and around Music Academy itself, there are several performance venues. You can just keep walking. From you finish one performance, you can go walk to the next place and see something. It's possible. So there is this hotel called Woodlands next to Music Academy. It gets jam packed at that time of the year. You can use whatever influence you want. You can't get a room there. So because it's in within walking distance to 3 or 4 popular venues in the city. And then there are smaller sabhas also, like Madrasana, there is Shastra Satsang, Mudra, Nada Inpam. Now, for some of them are new, like Madrasana started just a few years back, but within the last 5-6 years, they have got some really good artists, some good performances, made a good name for themselves. And some of them organize even free concerts. You can walk in and listen to it for free. And some sabhas, they have ticketed concerts in the evening and free ones in the morning.
Okay, so something to keep in mind, right? If especially for the ones, I guess the big ticket items are the ones that are paid concerts in the evenings, so that go to filled out auditoriums. For those, you might have to plan and purchase tickets at a time, also, right?
Oh, that is a different ball game altogether, because for many years the sabhas refused to come online, so the tickets were not available online till say 2019, if I'm right. I'm not very sure, but 18, 19, yeah. Even today, not all of them have the tickets available online. You have to go in person to the venue and book it, which is why it becomes very difficult, because it changes every year. Some of them make all their tickets available online. Some of them make it partially available online. And some of them don't make it available at all. I don't think Music Academy tickets are available online. So what happens is, when a very popular artist, say Ranjini Gayatri, who are 2 sisters who are at the top of the game right now, the Ranjini Gayatri or Sanjay Subramaniam, Bombay Jayashree, Aruna Sairam, when these people perform, tickets get sold out in 2-3 hours. Ticket window opens and the tickets are gone. It really depends. Sometimes they sell tickets on the day of the performance in the morning. Some sabhas open it a day before, so you'll have to call them up and find out when will the ticket bookings open for this particular performance.
Okay.
Ranjini Gayatri and Sanjay Subramaniam, I've heard people go at 5 in the morning and queue up over there to get the tickets. That's how passionate people are when it comes to classical music in the city. And it's also one of the few cities where people actually pay for these performances. And I have heard a lot of artists come to Chennai and complain that in many cities, sadly, people always look for free passes, which is unfair to the artist also, because they have spent so many years learning an art, mastering the art, and to be told to perform for free is not fair to them. But in Chennai, some of these artists are celebrated, at par with film stars. That kind of fandom they enjoy in the city.
Yeah. Just in terms of the events itself, right? Because these are not limited to, like you mentioned. I mean, obviously, it started off probably with mostly music focused concerts and stuff like that, but now the roster has kind of expanded beyond music to other performing arts. And I was also very pleasantly surprised to see that there's almost like lectures, if I can call that, also that happen during the day about music, like about the art form and stuff like that. Do you want to just give a sense of what are the different types of events, concerts, and even art forms that a listener, that an audience can go and check out?
Sure. So some sabhas like the Krishna Gana Sabha, they have performance starting very early in the day. So it will be like a group performance. There will be Bhajan Mandali which is performing on stage. This will start say at 6 in the morning. But otherwise, a regular sabha will start its activities around 8:30 in the morning. It will start with the lecture demonstrations. So lecture demonstrations are meant for students of music, and by students I just don't mean people who are in their teens or something, but even very senior students, people who are performers and want to learn more in depth about music. And you'll be surprised the number of foreigners who are there who are learning music. They come to Chennai at this time and attend these lecture demonstrations because they are priceless. These are delivered by people who have spent their lifetime on that topic. So you can imagine the quality of those demonstrations that are delivered in that 1 hour. So sometimes it happens that the hall is full and there are benches outside with a loudspeaker. You just listen to the lectures and take down notes sitting outside if you are a student of music. The halls get full if you don't reach there on time, especially if the lecture is being delivered by a very popular artist or very popular professor. Then the hall gets filled very quickly. Then there are themed festivals. Some of them have for instance, Kartik Fine Arts used to have a theme for the entire season, for the dance season. So all the performances, all the discussions will center around that theme. So that is a morning session, and in some sabhas, very senior artists will perform in the morning. Now these are people who are out of competition. They have proven their worth. They are out of the rat race. They are just dedicated their life to music now. They are not giving these ticketed performances anymore. So they come and perform for free in the morning. These are people who might have been at the peak of their popularity in the 80s and 90s. So they come, they give their performances in the morning. So it's an entire joy. It's a different kind of ball game to see them perform at the age of 80, 85 in front of us. It's like their entire life has been some kind of a tapasya, isn't it? And to see that in front of, finding shape in front of your eyes is a different kind of magic. After the morning session, there's the afternoon session where the up and coming artists perform. The newcomers, they perform in the afternoon slot. Both dance and music, they perform in the afternoon. So these are younger musicians, younger artists. These are free concerts. Now, from 4 p.m. onwards is when the ticketed performances happen. There's one slot at 4 p.m. There's one slot at around 7 p.m. So these performances last from 2.5 to 3 hours, and senior artists perform in this slot. People who can pull a crowd, despite there being a ticket. So these are the artists who perform at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. across sabhas.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And I think it's a great way in which these events, the sabhas, are providing platform to young and upcoming artists, right? Obviously, there's the big stars, you could say, the popular artists, but for the young and upcoming artists, this is a great way. And just for some laypersons, right, if we're just trying to understand what is the kind of music, right, even Carnatic music, a lot of people might not understand. Do you want to give a brief, again, for a layperson type of a definition as to what this is and maybe how this is different from Hindustani type of music, right? That's the other type of music that's popular. Do you want to give a quick sense of that? Also, what type of instruments are very popular in music of this kind? Arjun, would you like to just touch upon that if possible?
Yeah, it will be difficult for me to explain the difference in the style of Hindustani and Carnatic, but I can maybe you'll have to listen to it to get an understanding.
Sure.
But Carnatic music is what is popular in the southern part of India: Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. These are the states where Carnatic music has been popular in the last few centuries. And the music that developed in the north has been called Hindustani music. These developed in states like UP, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, even parts of Karnataka, northern Karnataka. That came to be called as Hindustani music. They both have had their own trajectories. There are common grounds, there are common ragas between them. There are things that are common, but at the same time, they are very, very different in their approaches. But the underlying philosophy, the certain rudiments are common, which makes them a part of the larger ecosystem of Indian classical music. As far the instruments are concerned, a typical performance in a kacheri, as a Carnatic music concert is called, it will either be a vocal concert, or there'll be a vocalist who is the main attraction, and he or she will have accompanists. The accompanists will consist of percussionists percussionists who play the mridangam or kanjira, ghatam. These are the percussion instruments. And then there are the string instruments such as the violin. In the olden days, even veena used to be a accompaniment, the marsing. So these kind of accompanying instruments are there. And center attraction is the vocalist. If it's an instrumental concert, then there are instrumentalists instrumentalists who specialize in veena, violin, mandolin, many instruments. Like mandolin was not considered a Carnatic musical instrument until Mandolin Srinivas came, and he said, this is very much Carnatic music. I mean, he just surprised everyone with his talent, a child prodigy that he was. So there's even guitar is played as a Carnatic instrument. It's about how you play it, So
Sure.
Yeah, you find all sorts of performances, but vocalists draw a lot of crowd because of the lyrical component. But there are some people who like instrumentalists because they might not understand Tamil, Telugu, Sanskrit, the language, or Malayalam, the languages in which these compositions are written. So they enjoy instrumental concerts more because there's no barrier of language in that.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And also, while reading this up, I was looking that Carnatic music has its underlying roots from the Bhakti movement, I understand, right? Like a lot of connection to the Bhakti movement as well.
Yes.
In the south, and that's how it was influenced.
Yeah, so the temples have had a very important role in both the dance and music of the south and even in the north. So the dancers who were called Devadasis, their dance later got the shape of bharatanatyam, as we call it today. And the music, so music, dance, these were all part of offerings in temples. Music was also given patronage in the court, which is why when the courts lost power, when the darbars lost power, they came to cities where businessmen were promoting music in a very big way because they felt this is part of our integral heritage. So there are a lot of business houses even today which are sponsoring several events in the December music season. These can be jewelry brands, sari brands, who feel they are connected to the aesthetics of the city, and at the same time they are also huge rasikas of music. So that's another reason why they contribute heavily to music season. And the silk saris and jewelry are very integral to the December music season, which is why these brands also advertise heavily when people walk into the sabhas at that time.
Yeah, very interesting. In terms of the popular artists, or let's say even artists who gain popularity and exposure through festivals like these, is there any that stand out for you, or even just in the space, who are the popular ones who draw like the crowd pullers, right?
Yeah, so these names keep changing over the years, but currently there are names like Sanjay Subramaniam, Bombay Jayashree, Abhishek Raghuram, Aruna Sairam, Vishaka Hari. These are names that are very popular. They are in demand. Jayanti Kumaresh, who is a very popular Veena artist. Rajesh Vaidya. And among dancers also, there are people from all over the country who come to Chennai around that time. So there was a time when Dhananjayans were a huge attraction. Now then there is Padma Subramaniam, who's still performing. You'll be surprised, at the age of 83, 84, Vajayanti Mala still performs during this festival.
Oh, wow.
It's a wonder to see her dance non-stop for an hour. Then there are many drama companies who stage their performances in January. Back in the day, when Crazy Mohan was there, his dramas used to be very popular. But there are others like S.V. Shekhar, Y.G. Mahendran. Their plays are very popular during this time. And there are many new drama groups that have come up. I'm not completely updated with their names, unfortunately, but there are most of them are in Tamil because they are all homegrown drama companies who have become popular. They stage their plays in the month of January, and many top-notch dancers stage their dance productions also in the month of January.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of them have also found like commercial success, right? Like through films and stuff like that. Also, I mean,
Yes.
I'm not saying the majority, but some of them, like who came out of here or started with carnatic music and like bharatanatyam, for example. I believe Bombay Jayashree is also pretty popular, right? Outside of this circuit.
So the thing is, they primarily focus on classical because once they get busy in the film music scene, the practice and all the regimen that they've built around music suffers and goes for a toss. So they prefer not to take up too many film assignments, but they do sing once in a while when some good song comes their way. They do sing for films as well. But there are film artists who have given up cinema for the sake of classical music, like Vajanti Mala. She gave up cinema to focus on dance. Yeshudas was a very popular film singer. Now he does not take up many film assignments. He wants to focus entirely on classical music, and he has a primetime slot in all the sabhas in the music season as well.
Yeah, even like bharatanatyam dancers also, right? Shobana, yeah, exactly. It was
Shobana has also given up on cinema completely to focus on dance. So it's about prioritizing. Some people like this more, so they leave everything in the world and focus on this. And some people start off here and then they get bigger in popular entertainment lifestyle.
Yeah. Just my point being that it also serves as a great platform for up-and-coming artists, and also in terms of recognizing the talent, right? It's harder otherwise for especially like classical art forms to get enough recognition in the world of social media that live in. So this acts as a great platform. Now, just in terms of, obviously, like this is a packed schedule, right? Like you literally mentioned something one could do from morning till evening, just spending time in the different events. Yeah, exactly. But for somebody who's also looking at, let's say, mixing and matching, just a little bit of travel, sightseeing, or shopping and other, let's say, touristy things when they're also enjoying the December music season, the Chennai Music Festival. What would you suggest are some of the things that they could also enjoy apart from these events?
So there are many places to see in and around these venues, right? But in Triplicane, for instance, there is the Parthasarathi temple, from where the Parthasarathi Sabha got its name as well, because they were founded near the temple premises itself. It's a 6th century temple built by the Pallava king Narasimha Varman. And it's dedicated to Krishna, who is in the form of the charioteer of Arjuna, Parthasarathi. Later, there are many kings who have contributed to the structure of the temple over the centuries. The Cholas, the Vijayanagara Empire, they have contributed to the temple. So that's an ancient temple that's there in Triplicane. In Mylapore, where most of these concerts happen, there is a Kapalishwara temple. Again, a 6th century temple from a Pallava period temple, or perhaps it could be even older than 6 centuries, as some people say. It was initially located by the seashore, but later, I think a few hundred years back, it was reconstructed in the current location after a Portuguese attack happened over there. But again, many dynasties have contributed to the present day structure. And these are two very, very important temples within the city limits. And in the month of Margazhi itself, the Vaikuntha Ekadasi festival happens, which sees a huge crowd in the Parthasarathi temple. It's a very auspicious date to visit the temple. But apart from that, in Triplicane, there is the Walaja Mosque, which was built by the Nawab of Arcot in 1795 or something. He built the mosque. Muhammad Ali Walaja, he had constructed. It's called the Big Mosque, Triplicane Big Mosque. There's this Chepauk Palace. Again, it was a residence of the Nawab of Arcot. Then there is Chepauk Stadium, which has seen around, I think, if I'm right, around 3 World Cups have happened over there. So M.H. Chidambaram Stadium, also called the Chepauk Stadium, is the second oldest stadium in India after Eden, Calcutta. These are some popular spots near the performance venues. But apart from that, you can always go shopping. There are many legendary brands in T Nagar, which was, at one point the biggest shopping hub of Chennai was T Nagar. Now, of course, because malls have come up in all corners of the city, you can't really say which is the shopping hub as such. But by and large, Srinagar is considered the shopping hub. Some legendary brands like Nalli, RMKV, Kumaran, they all they all opened shop here. And one reason why, it's also called the silk capital of India, Chennai. So Tinagar has a big role to play in that. In Mylapore, there are other showrooms like Rasi, Rangachari, again very popular sari brands. Many big jewelry stores like GRT are there. So yeah, there's a lot to shop if you are into shopping in the traditional sense in this neighborhood. And when it comes to food, Triplicane has got the Nair Mess, Ratna Cafe, very very old outlets. Okay, there is a Buhari restaurant which claims to have come up with this dish called chicken 65, which you have heard of. And in Mylapore there are many old outlets like the Kalati rose milk shop. It's you can easily miss the shop if you don't pay attention. It started in 1927, so it's almost 100 years old. Their rose milk is very famous. And there is something called Janal Kade, where they serve vadas and bhajis out of a small window in a home. Okay, so Janal is a window. So Janal Kade is basically window shop. People stand outside, and just for a few hours in the day he sells things. It's over. The things get over very quickly. There is a Rayar's Mess, which is again almost 100 years old. Karpagapal Mess, Mami Mess. Then there is a restaurant called Taligai. These are all extremely popular places for traditional South Indian food.
Okay. And Arjun, while we are at food, right, touching upon the food, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Sabha canteens also, or like they call, what is it, Sabha Sapad as they call it, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So what happened is the whole system of Sabha canteen started because people wanted a break in between concerts. They wanted to have a snack or two. They wanted to have a cup of coffee now and then. But it's grew in size over the years. Basically, everyone from the family is in the Sabha to listen to Kacheri. There's no food prepared at home. Where will you go? You need to eat here itself. So that's how this whole Sabha canteen system came into being, and it became bigger and bigger over the years. It's almost like a competition. You try to find out what is special this year in this particular canteen. These canteens are all makeshift structures. They don't exist all through the year. They are there only for 15 days from December 15 to December 31, not even in January. So there are very popular messes, especially in Naradagana Sabha, Music Academy, and the Parthasarthi Swami Sabha. They have very good caterers. Even the Krishna Gana Sabha, they all have very good caterers who provide food over there. The most iconic of them is in Parthasarthi Swami Sabha. His name is Mountbatten Mani Iyer. So the legend has it that when he was a boy in 1948, he met Mountbatten when he came for a visit to the governor's house for a meal and delivered several dishes to him. And since then, people have been calling him Mountbatten Mani Iyer. So he has taken up several big undertakings. Politicians from Nehru to Indira Gandhi to Kamraj have had food prepared by him. So kind of a legend in this space, I must say. And it also reflects in the price that he charges for the food that he delivers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. And I think a lot of the, at least especially the lunch or the main servings, right? All of these are on the traditional banana leaf
yes,
style.
They're
right?
served on the banana leaf. But again, at the same time, you won't find most of these items in a restaurant. It's very different from the restaurant South Indian food that you have. These are items that you find in weddings, because these are all traditional wedding caterers. So another thing is, the month of Margazhi, weddings don't happen in Tamil Nadu. It's not considered to be auspicious for weddings. So all wedding caterers get into some sort of arrangement like this, especially the really good ones.
Right.
They are called by the sabhas to set up a canteen in their premises. You find things like Kanjipuram idlis, millet dosa. Now you're finding more varieties in restaurants, but there was a time when these unique items would be found only in sabha canteens, and they are a little pricey, a little expensive, because these are the rates of wedding caterers, not of a restaurant. So you'll find more variety, you'll find rarer items. Some of them even organize workshops, food workshops in their premises for people who are interested. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting mix that way. Even the artists come and eat in the evening after their performances. So sometimes you can share a table with one of your favorite artists and have your dinner.
Oh wow, That'd be ideal. But yeah, even in terms of the different things they offer, right? Everything from, like I said, the traditional idlis and dosas, but yeah, it'll be very unique to the particular event or the caterer, I guess, right?
Yes, they all have
So
a unique recipe, secret recipe,
yeah,
which they will not share with others. The quality of coffee, I think a lot of people also judge the quality of a caterer by the quality of filter coffee that he serves at the menu, because people are very particular about the standard of a filter coffee in the city. So yeah, it's heaven if you like these things. I mean, it's
yeah,
really heaven. Music, food, both coming
and
together,
filter coffee.
filter coffee, and in the canteen we'll have these speakers, and you can listen to the kacheri while you're having your food. It's something else.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely very unique, and like I said, it's a combination of all things.
All good things, yeah.
Really, yeah, all good things in life, right? So can't be complaining. And like I said, icing on the cake is the wonderful weather in December. So
Yes.
everything adds up, and that's why it makes such a wonderful. I think a wonderful thing to consider. Obviously, if you're connoisseur, you probably already knew about this and you've already been to some of them. But even for others who are planning on visiting Chennai around this time, right, in the
Yeah.
months of December or early Jan, it's a great way of just having like a different type of experience than you would have had in the past, right? Whatever you did primarily, I guess, beach going or shopping and cafes and all of that, you could like maybe save that for another time, and this time you could enjoy in a more in a more traditional way that is focused on
Yeah.
traditional art forms like music and dance, and we're staying close to the roots also this way, right? And I think the first
It's
connection.
a slice of history, Seth, more than anything else, it's a slice of history. For instance, there's Kalakshetra in Madras, where 5 or 6 days of performances are held in the last week of December. They primarily dance, some music performances, but dance drama. Kalakshetra's dance dramas are extremely popular. They were all choreographed by Rukmini Devi Arundale, who set Kalakshetra up. So there was a time when Bharatanatyam was almost lost to us. But Rukmini Devi's initiatives got it back in shape, and people started learning it. People from middle class families started learning dance, and today you have Bharatanatyam schools all over the
Yeah,
world. Kalakshetra, when you enter the space itself, it's like so much has happened here. So many great artists have performed here. So many great artists have learned here, and you're there listening to these performances, watching these performances. It's like some bit of that history rubs off you, and you go back home with something more than the art,
yeah.
which you can experience only when you go there.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a great way to experience it, and you've put it greatly as well. Even for me, right, Arjun, when you mentioned this the first time to me, and I started reading up and looking up more as to what this is about, because, like I said, I was completely ignorant about this even existing. The first thing I kind of related, it's not obviously the same thing, but even in the Trishur episode you had mentioned, right? I think it was called Kala Mandalam
Yeah,
that
yeah.
actually helped revive Kathakali and a few other Mohiniyattam and
Yes.
a few other art forms like that. Very similar, right? It's just things like these, and especially in the lifestyles we lead these days, it's easy to literally lose on cherished art forms that we have. Our ancestors and this region has come up with.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose and be out of touch, and before you know, with the OTT and malls and everything, I mean, modern things are also fine. I'm not saying that
True, true,
I'd
true.
be a hypocrite
True, true,
if I
true.
say that, but at the same time, to retain these, right, and retain these, and also like take this to the world.
Yes.
These the Chennai Music Festival, the Sabhas, and everybody, they're doing a great job. So that's what was very, very endearing to me.
And cinema, OTT, they're all there. We
Yeah,
see experience them every day. Maybe we should take some effort to experience other things, the folk arts, the classical arts. I mean, India is just full of various kinds of art forms in every nook and corner of it. You just need to make some effort, and it's happening right in the heart of your city. So
yeah.
make a trip to Chennai sometime in the month of December, experience a bit of it. We all will go back home a little richer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you so much for shining light on an important aspect of travel, or looking at travel in a different way like this. Any final thoughts or things you would like to add about the Chennai December Festival or Chennai December season, or anything else people could keep in mind while visiting here, Arjun?
Yeah, so a few years back, Chennai was included in the UNESCO's Creative Cities Network for its musical tradition. And when we talk of heritage of a city, or when we talk of tradition of a city, it's not just the monuments, it's not just the language. There are many. It is all encompassing, right? The theater traditions, the music traditions, the dance traditions, the textile traditions of a city. All these are part of history of a city. And I think when you visit a place, mean not just Chennai, any city for that matter, across the world, it's important to experience a city which is covering all these aspects. Only then I think we can say we have traveled to a place and try to experience that city in its entirety. So that is a very Chennai has taught me that there are many aspects to a city and its heritage. So I wish you all can come and share a bit of that.
Absolutely, I think that was so beautifully put. And for people who are interested in following Arjun's work, Arjun's Simply Stories initiative, or your podcast, why don't you give a quick shout out as to how they can do that?
So you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Madraswala. That's where I share most of my updates. Or you can also share my Insta storytelling page, which is Simply Stories Chennai.
Yeah, wonderful. And Arjun also has a wonderful podcast called Madraswala Podcast, aptly, and it
Yes.
focuses a lot of it on nostalgia, going back to the shows and serials and series, like we used to call them from back in the day, right? 80s,
Yes.
90s, especially kids growing up during that time.
Yes.
He's going to revive that soon. I just had a word with him,
Yes.
so there's definitely more content coming up there as well. But thank you, Arjun. Thank you again for coming back and sharing such wonderful stories. As always, you come here and surprise us with something new, and this time has been no different. And like I told you, we already plotting and planning to have you back on the show. But thank you so much for completing this hat trick of episodes on the Musafir
It was
Stories.
entirely my pleasure. I had created this handle Madraswala, but finally I could talk about Madras thanks to you. So thank you for that.
That was yet another great episode on the Musafir Stories. Make sure to show us some love by sharing the podcast with your friends and family. We are on Instagram and Twitter at Musafir Stories. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM podcast app or the website. Follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.